Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Nitin Chhoda, and welcome to this important episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider igniting that subscribe button. Please ignite the notification button. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. Let's just jump right in. Every once in a while, we have a politician who honestly is like a breath of fresh air. I've talked about some of the younger politicians from the Problem Solvers Caucus, and in this particular episode of Ignition Time, I'm going to talk about a slightly more seasoned politician, but nevertheless someone who is encouraging, who in my opinion is someone we should all take a closer look at. Now, I'm referring to Republican Senator Rob Portman from Ohio. He's the one who originally proposed the back to work bonus. For those of you who might remember, I've done other videos about Senator Portman on my channel, so you can go ahead and check out those videos. Just search for Portman on the channel and you can see the other videos I've analyzed talking about Portman's back to work bonus. Now, here's something important that Portman said today in an interview this morning. Now, what's interesting is that Portman has been one of the volunteers in the trials for the J&J vaccine. Now, the J&J vaccine is unlike the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine in that it requires just one shot. And let's take a look at an interesting segment with Senator Portman where he talks about being a volunteer of the J&J vaccine. Like I said, every once in a while we get politicians who are a breath of fresh air. And I think the calm, even, balanced approach from Senator Portman is something that I believe everyone I believe others on Capitol Hill should essentially emulate. But here's what he said. He talked about being a volunteer for the J&J vaccine. He talked about the fact that 50% of Americans are not comfortable taking a vaccine, and he did attribute that to some sort of political rhetoric. And he said, I would encourage everyone to participate in the trial. He said he's been a volunteer for 12 days, and he said it's the single most important thing we need right now. And he said Congress should pass more stimulus, in part to provide necessary funding to make sure the vaccine progress continues. And, interesting that he would say that. He did talk about Operation Warp Speed. He said it has been unbelievable. And he said it's the best use of taxpayer funds I can think of. So that was the first segment of his interview. He did talk about the stimulus as well. But first, let's take a look at the very first thing that Senator Portman said. Let's roll the tape and watch.
So important. I started about 12 days ago, even before we learned about Moderna and Pfizer's great success, the 95 and 90% efficacy. But this is the most important single thing that we can do. Second, I learned from an Ohio company that's servicing many of these contracts around the country that it's difficult sometimes to get people to join these trials. And so I thought by doing it and going public, we might get more people to do it. It's a great idea. It's relatively easy to go through the process. You keep a diary and so on, but it's, they're professional and courteous, and I encourage more people to do it. And then finally, the numbers about people's willingness to be vaccinated are actually pretty scary to me, because the Gallup poll from October, the latest data we have, shows that 50% of Americans are not comfortable with getting a vaccine right now. I think that's partly because of what happened during the campaign, which was very unfortunate, where you had some people saying that the vaccines were not safe because the Trump administration was in charge. And these are FDA professionals, these are scientists that are taking extraordinary measures to be sure it's safe. And so I want to encourage everyone, to participate in the trial if you're comfortable doing that, but certainly to get the vaccine when it's available.
Senator, let's just talk about, you started this 12 days ago with the vaccine. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Johnson & Johnson is just a one-dose shot versus the 2 shots that you have to take with both Pfizer and Moderna. So how do you feel? How have you been going?
I feel great. And, 50% of the people get the placebo, 50% get the actual vaccination. I don't know which I got, but I feel great. And again, I keep a diary, and every Monday and Thursday now I report back as to whether I have symptoms. And, it's easy to go through. And again, I encourage people to do it, because the more people that participate in the trials, the sooner they can get to the FDA for the emergency use authorization, and the quicker we can get it out to the American people. And this is so important. I mean, it's a much better solution than lockdowns. It's a much better solution than keeping people out of school and out of our churches and other places of worship. It's the most important single thing, in my view. Congress ought to pass another COVID-19 bill, in part to provide the necessary funding to ensure that the vaccination progress continues. Warp speed has been unbelievable. It's been unprecedented how quickly this has happened compared to any other vaccine development. It's, again, being done very carefully with scientists taking the lead. Science is calling the shots, but they do need to have additional funding from the federal government. because the government is essentially providing the funding for the manufacture of the vaccines while the studies are going on. And if the vaccines end up being successful in getting the approval, then they'll be ready to go. Now, that's expensive, and it's important to be sure the resources are there for that. I think it's the best expenditure of taxpayer money I can think of.
Now, in the second segment of the interview, Rob Portman was asked about, could there be an impaired transition because information sharing from the Trump administration is not happening to the Biden team as it's supposed to. So he did chime in on that. He said that information should be shared. He said, he also said that President Trump deserves a chance to have his court cases be heard. And he also said that many professionals involved in Warp Speed, including individuals like Dr. Anthony Fauci, will continue to help. And, they'll be around. They're not going anywhere since they are not political appointees. These were his words. Let's watch Portman address that.
It's expensive and it's also complicated. And yesterday, Joe Biden complained that the current administration's lack of cooperation with his incoming administration is starting to create a problem, especially in terms of dealing with COVID. What would you say to that point?
Well, I'd say two things. One, the professionals like Tony Fauci are going to be there, and that's good because the institutional knowledge will be there, not just at the FDA, but the NIH, and again, professionals like Dr. Fauci and others who run the task force. So I'm not so concerned about that. But second, during this period of time, of course, information should be shared, and that can be done. I don't see a problem with that. I think the security briefings are along the same lines. I do think the president deserves the chance to have his court cases be heard. He deserves the chance to get, the final recounts, and certainly every vote needs to be counted. And that's not going to take forever. So in the meantime, I think it's important to provide information to ensure we don't lose track. But I think in the coronavirus case, many of those professionals who are currently working on it and are very involved with Warp Speed, as an example, will continue to do so because they're not political appointees.
Now, in the third segment of this interview, he said some things that were very significant as far as stimulus is concerned. Remember, he's a Republican senator. So what he says is important and we should be paying attention because stimulus cannot pass in the lame duck session without the support of Republicans in the Senate, specifically Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So here's what Rob Portman said. He said that we need more stimulus. He said many items, including expansion of unemployment benefit extensions, expire at the end of the year. I have talked about the PUA program expiring, many other programs expiring. I have done other videos on the unemployment benefit system. In fact, you should check out our unemployment benefits crash course. It's probably the most comprehensive you'll find on the internet, not just on YouTube. So please check that out. He said a number of items, including the Paycheck Protection Program, do indeed need to be extended. He also said that we need a bipartisan group and a targeted, effective program that deals with what we have to deal with now. In other words, we have these problems now that we need to deal with to get through this period between now and March, because he does feel that the vaccines will be widely available by March. But for the next 4 or 5 months, the economy needs help, specifically individuals in travel, leisure, entertainment, hospitality. Those are the individuals who need help the most, because remember, this is a K-shaped recovery. This is going to be a K-shaped Christmas because individuals at the top of the K are going to be able to continue spending money, but individuals at the bottom of the K simply won't be able to do what they need to do for their family for the holidays. He also said during this interim period, that is between now and March of next year, when the vaccine is expected to be widely available, I'm very concerned with what will happen both for our healthcare and for the economy. That is what he said, which is why I feel that he's a senator that we should listen to. Very calm, very balanced voice, so that's why I wanted to highlight him. He also said, let's do it. It does not need to be a huge package. It needs to be targeted and focused. These are his words. And he said, my hope is that we can get something done before we take off for the recess after Thanksgiving, because a lot of the congressmen on Capitol Hill, senators on Capitol Hill will be on recess after Thanksgiving. So that's what he said. Let's roll the segment and take a look at exactly what he said. Let's watch.
Let's talk about the idea of a stimulus package, starting with the money being there to make sure these vaccinations are put out. I mean, that's a huge issue. How do you have both houses of Congress saying, okay, at this point, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to leave and go back home for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. We're not going to take care of making sure there's money there to get these vaccines out, of making sure that while these lockdowns continue and the cases continue to climb, we're not going to deal with PPP and making sure there's money for small businesses or for people who have been laid off or for the testing or anything else that goes through this. I mean, at some point, it's kind of hard to justify.
I couldn't agree with you more, and we need to act and act now. And we can't do everything. The bill that Nancy Pelosi has been promoting, $3.5 trillion. She now says it could be $2.5 trillion. We don't need all that, but we do need the basic things you just talked about. A number of these items expire at the end of the year, including, by the way, the expansion of unemployment insurance, which is really important right now because with all these shutdowns happening all around the country, think of the number of people who are losing their jobs and joining the unemployment insurance ranks. And some of them are falling off UI because by year end, again, this expansion that was put in place during the coronavirus ends. So there are a number of items, including some important tax relief that's out there. Obviously, the PPP is really important to small businesses. Again, some of those businesses are now being forced to shut down by government edict again. We need to help them. So my hope is that we can have a bipartisan group here in the Senate. I've been talking to colleagues on both sides of the aisle about this to help on a targeted, effective program that deals with what we have to deal with now to get through this valley really between now and March. Because by March, we should have these vaccines widely available. And again, I hope people take advantage of it. We've got to encourage people to do that. If that happens, that will protect them and their families, but also protect others. But then during that interim period, I'm very concerned with what might happen, both for our healthcare, but also for our economy. So let's do it. It doesn't need to be a huge package, but it should be targeted and focused. And my hope is we can get something done before we take off for the recess after Thanksgiving.
That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. Get your cell phone out. Please send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to SMS alerts list going forward. Now, if you want, you can also get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and you'll get added to our email list going forward. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. Now, you can also follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. And you can also get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also the same. It's ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Now, keep in mind, sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications on time. So all you have to do is a very simple solution to that. Simply go to youtube.com/ignition_time. That's youtube.com/ignition_time. And that's the home of our channel. That's the home page of our channel on YouTube. So just bookmark that page and then you'll be able to watch our videos at any point in time that you want. You're not dependent on YouTube notifications. If you learn something new from this video, please consider sharing this video with friends and family. That would mean a lot to me. I would really appreciate that. Also, please gently click the like button. That would mean a lot to me. Ignite that subscribe button and ignite that notification button, because this way, this helps out the YouTube algorithm. That would be your vote of confidence for us and all the effort that goes into this channel behind the scenes. You'll find the link in the description section below to all our news resources at all times for every video, for all the videos we've done on this channel. Please comment and participate in our growing communities, because we have an exciting, an intelligent, a vibrant, a growing, a respectful, a bipartisan community. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.